Welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to dive into a fascinating journey through history, power, and mystery. We will explore the hidden halls of a secret institution that shaped a nation. Listen carefully to the pronunciation and tone as we unfold this captivating story. Remember to pay attention to the smooth flow of the narrative, designed perfectly to elevate your English vocabulary naturally. Let us begin our journey into the secret academy that makes France unstoppable.
Our story starts in Paris during a time of great change. The king wanted to create a special school, but it was not an ordinary place for regular students. This was the Secret Academy, a hidden fortress where the brightest minds gathered to study strategy, science, and leadership. Imagine a cold winter night with heavy snow falling over the stone towers of Paris. Notice how the word gathering means bringing people together for a specific purpose. Inside the warm, candle-lit room, 5 young scholars sat around a massive oak table. They did not know each other yet, but they shared the same sharp intellect and desire to serve their country. The door opened slowly, and a tall man in a dark cloak stepped into the light. Look at his strict face and proud posture as he addresses the silent room. This was Master Raymond, the legendary director of the academy. He looked at the young scholars with deep, piercing eyes that seemed to read their thoughts. "You are here because you are exceptional," Raymond said in a low, powerful voice. Feel the sudden tension in the room as his words echo against the high stone walls. Remember, the word exceptional means much better than average, representing unique talent. The world thinks France relies only on its large army, but our true strength lives here, in your minds, Raymond whispered. He placed a golden key on the table, which caught the flickering light of the fireplace. Watch how the students stare at the shining object with absolute fascination. This key opened the great library, a restricted vault containing ancient manuscripts and forbidden knowledge from around the globe. The scholars knew their lives would change forever from this moment. Let your voice reflect the gravity and excitement of this new beginning. They were no longer simple citizens. They were now the secret guardians of France's future success. The next morning, the scholars entered the great library using the golden key. The room was enormous, with shelves stretching up to the high ceiling like wooden skyscrapers. Julian, the youngest scholar, walked toward the back of the room, where the oldest books were kept. He found a secret shelf hidden behind a large purple curtain. On this shelf lay a book with no title, bound in dark leather and sealed with a gold padlock. He used a small pin to pick the lock, and the book popped open with a soft click. Inside, there were detailed plans of every major city in Europe, including secret paths and weak spots. Suddenly, a hand gripped Julian's shoulder firmly from behind. It was Louise, another brilliant scholar who specialized in military history. "We should not be reading this," Louise whispered, looking around the quiet room anxiously. "This book contains secrets that could start a massive war if the wrong person found it."
Julian looked at her and smiled slowly, his eyes shining with ambition. "Don't you see, Louise? This is why the Academy exists. We are not here to learn past history. We are here to write future history." Louise hesitated, but her curiosity was stronger than her fear. Together, they began to study the hidden strategies that made nations fall and empires rise. They spent hours analyzing the secret documents, completely forgetting the strict rules of the Academy. A few weeks later, Master Raymond called all 5 scholars to the central courtyard. The courtyard was a large open space surrounded by high stone walls and classical white pillars. "Today is your first real test," Raymond announced coldly. "You will be dropped into the forest outside Paris with no food, no water, and no maps. You must find your way back to the Academy before the sun sets, or you will be excluded forever." The students were shocked, but they had no time to complain to the master. Before they could speak, guards covered their heads with dark cloth masks and drove them away. Hours later, Julian and Louise found themselves in a dense, dark forest where the trees grew closely together. The wind was howling, and the paths looked identical in every single direction. Instead of panicking, Julian remembered the secret maps he had studied in the forbidden archives. He looked up at the position of the sun and noticed the way the moss grew on the oak trees. "The Academy lies toward the east, behind the rocky hills," Julian stated confidently. Louise analyzed the ground and noticed fresh horse tracks leading through the muddy brush. "The guards came this way," she said. "If we follow these tracks, we will find the main road." By combining their unique skills, they led the other scholars through the dangerous forest. Just as the sky turned a deep golden orange, they walked through the Academy gates, tired but victorious. Months passed, and the Academy grew more intense every day. The scholars were learning advanced tactics that regular generals could only dream of understanding. However, an unsettling dark shadow soon fell over the secret academy. Lower your voice significantly to create a mysterious and dangerous mood. An unsettling feeling is something that makes you feel nervous, uneasy, or worried. Important political documents began disappearing from Master Raymond's private office. Someone was stealing the secrets of France and selling them to foreign enemies. Speak with a tone of suspicion, as if anyone in the story could be guilty. One night, Louise noticed a strange light flickering inside the great library after midnight. She crept down the cold stone stairs quietly, holding her breath so she wouldn't make a sound. Through the cracked wooden door, she saw a figure copying a secret royal decree onto a scroll. Increase the speed of your words slightly to show the danger of the moment. The figure turned around into the moonlight, and Louise gasped in absolute horror. It was Julian. Deliver this revelation with a sharp, shocked emphasis on his name. A decree is an official order or law issued by a legal authority or king. Julian looked at Louise with a calm, cold expression that she had never seen before. "Why are you doing this, Julian?" Louise demanded, her voice shaking with deep betrayal. "The king does not care about us," Julian replied smoothly, stepping into the golden moonlight. "An empire in the East offered me a fortune for these simple papers." Make Julian sound cold, calculated, and completely detached from his old friends. "Step aside, Louise. or I will have to ensure that you stay silent forever." Louise realized that her closest friend had become the greatest threat to the nation. Louise knew she had to act immediately to save the Academy. Instead of running to Master Raymond, she decided to stop Julian herself before he could escape the grounds. She blocked the main exit of the library, holding a heavy iron rod in her right hand. Julian drew a small silver dagger from his coat, its blade reflecting the golden candles. "I don't want to hurt you, Louise," Julian said, taking a slow step forward. "You cannot stop the future. The Academy is strong, but the world outside is changing fast. France will fall, and I want to be on the winning side of history." Louise did not move an inch. Her loyalty to her country and her friends was absolute. "You think you are clever, Julian, but you forgot the most important lesson Master Raymond taught us," she said. "True power does not come from selling secrets. It comes from knowing how to protect them." Suddenly, Julian lunged forward, and the sound of metal clashing echoed through the silent library. Louise defended herself skillfully, using her knowledge of physical space to block his quick attacks. She managed to knock the silver dagger out of Julian's hand, sending it spinning across the floor. Julian fell back against a large bookshelf, completely trapped and defeated by his former partner. The door burst open, and Master Raymond entered with a dozen armed guards. They quickly surrounded Julian and took the stolen scrolls from his leather coat. Raymond looked at Julian with deep disappointment, then turned to Louise with a proud smile. "You have passed the ultimate test, Louise," Master Raymond announced to the entire room. "You proved that the true strength of France is not just intelligence, but loyalty and honor." Julian was taken away to a secret prison, never to be heard from again by the public. Louise was promoted to become the new senior strategist of the secret academy. Under her brilliant leadership, the academy developed new defensive plans that protected France for generations. Foreign empires tried many times to invade, but they always failed against the perfect strategies of the academy. The world continued to wonder how a single nation could remain so powerful and resilient through time. The answer lay hidden behind the stone walls of Paris, where the brightest minds worked in the shadows. France remained unstoppable because its greatest weapon was never a sword, but the secret Academy of Minds. Thank you for listening to this story, and keep practicing your English every single day.